Hey everyone, and welcome back to our Leadership Talk Series. I am really excited about today's guest. We have Dr. Mercy here with us, who is going to share some of the insights that we asked her about in the magazine with you all today. But I'm actually going to hold off on that. I'm going to have her introduce herself, and then I'm going to share with you one of the main reasons why I wanted to have her today, because it's something I haven't even told her yet. So, welcome,
Oh,
Dr. Mercy, to our call today.
hi. Thanks, Kim. Thank you so much for having me. I'm definitely honored. I don't know. I think you're awesome yourself, and I think you're doing amazing things. So I'm honored to be here. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you. No, I appreciate it. I got introduced to you through your show, and my mom and I were sitting up. I went to go visit my family, and so she and I have this thing where we just love just to watch different kind of medical shows. And your show really stood out to me for the reason that when I was younger, I had horrible acne. I mean,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, it was like all over my body, my face, and I was telling her we were just listening to you, and she was like, she's so loving and she's so caring to her patients, and she goes, and Kim, you never had that. I had more of it was more men. I didn't have any female doctors
Hmm.
that were seeing, and they would always tell me that I better get used to makeup because I'm gonna have ugly skin. You're gonna be very
Mm,
scarred up, and it was always very intimidating to where I just told her I don't want to see another dermatologist. I would not go to another one again because when you're a teenager, your self esteem is still being developed,
of
and it was so
course.
harsh. And so I love your approach to just seeing people and not seeing what's on the outside that's making them feel
Hmm.
insecure, but you're
Hmm.
seeing them. So I just thought I was like, I want to reach out to her. And I was like, I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try to reach out to her because my mom, we were just sitting there having coffee. And I said, it just made me feel safe watching you give people safe spaces to just feel what they feel with all the insecurities that come with the dermatological,
Yeah.
issues. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting because I love what I do and I love people. So then
Yeah.
you kind of take both. So to me, it's not even like I'm working. It's like I'm hanging out. Like
Yeah.
it's probably a little bit too much fun. It's kind of like I'm just hanging out. And if I have this gift
Yes.
to be able to make people's lives better and to feel better about
Yes.
themselves and to have more self-confidence,
Mm-hmm.
why not do it? I think
Yeah.
I don't know, I just enjoy my job. I enjoy
You can
people,
tell. Yeah.
and everyone has a really unique story and we're all going through
Mhm.
the same thing. And I
Yeah.
just happen to be on the other end where I can like help, you know?
No, I love it. Like it, yeah. Because I for so many years I had like that baggage with me until I got older and kind of worked through it. But I just love your approach. So I have to ask you
Yeah,
before I jump
great
into all
skin
the
now
questions I
though.
have.
Yeah,
Huh?
great skin now. I can't tell you used to have
Now,
acne.
but I had to work at it. Trust me. But I just remember thinking. I was telling my mom too that day. I said what I love the most too is that people come in there with all of their pain,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel embarrassed. And I remember feeling that
Mm-hmm.
same way, like always trying to put bangs way down lower than they needed to be and try to put hair over my face and just all that type of stuff. And so I just love what you make people feel. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself before I jump into all the questions I want to ask you today.
Oh, okay. Well, my name's Dr. Mercy Odueyungbo. People always wonder if that's like my real name. I'm like, yeah, it was my
Yes.
grandmother's name actually. So they just
Mhm.
named me after my grandma. I was born in Nigeria and I
Mhm.
moved here when I was between 10 and 11 years old. I'm
Okay.
the oldest of four kids. I'm the only one that's a doctor.
Mhm.
And I didn't have the easiest childhood, being in Nigeria in a third world country. We were very poor.
Mhm.
Life was very difficult, but
Mhm.
there's a big emphasis on education. And, it was kind of like my parents explained, it's your way out,
Yeah.
so no matter what, you just have to, be educated. And my parents were nurses and they
Ooh.
ended up getting a scholarship in 1992 and 1993 when there was a
Mhm.
shortage of nurses in the United States. So they were recruiting from all over the world. So my
Mhm.
parents actually got one of those scholarships, and that's how I ended up here.
Nice.
Let's see. I have two girls, Lily and
Mhm.
Daisy. I'm married for 9 years. I met my husband in
Mhm.
college, and
Nice.
I own Lilly Dermatology. I had a practice in
Mhm.
Chicago where we shot the show,
Right.
but after I shot the show, I became pregnant, and it just didn't go so well. I became like I was in the
Mhm.
hospital, bedridden. We had a long complication. My
Wow.
daughter was born at 24 weeks, so she was born and then she was in hospital for about a year until so that's why I stopped doing the
A
show.
year?
Literally the show came out and a month later I was in a hospital. Most people don't know that. So people ask me now like what happened to the
Yeah.
show. it was
Yeah.
just too much. And I was like, I need to focus on my family. I need to focus on myself. And I was like, you know what? Maybe one day we'll come back. But right now, I need to
Yeah.
focus on my daughter. So, yeah.
Wow. A
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Most people don't know that she was born at 24 weeks. She was, if you imagine 2 sticks of butter put together, that was how
Mm-hmm.
big she was. And she just had a complicated course in the NICU for over a year, intubated, and it was just a mess. So I was like, you know, there's no way I can do a show. So people
Right.
were like, the show just abruptly went away.
Yeah.
There's no explanation. So they also didn't really put it out there that it wasn't coming back, because
Yeah.
whenever it's time to come back, then they don't have to re-explain everything again. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Oh, wow. But I love that you put family first, because I've seen people put the other first, and I
Yeah.
love that you honor family. Yeah.
Yeah, no. You know,
Second
when
to
you're a
none.
mom,
Oh yeah.
it's you,
I,
I'm
I
like,
could I could not. I'm with you on that. I'm thinking both my kids came at 7 months, but they were full
okay.
full what is it? But I was preeclampsia for both of them. One full eclampsia and then one preeclampsia. Yeah, so I get it. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: so why dermatology? Like, what made you get into that?
I didn't even know what dermatology was. You know, like
Okay.
I was the first one to go to college in my
Mm,
family. So I knew I wanted to be a doctor. My parents were nurses. In a Nigerian
mm,
household, you know, we always joke there's only 3 things you could be: a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So pick one, you know? I didn't like law. Engineering maybe. So I was like, okay, I'll become a
yeah,
doctor. So I knew
yeah.
I wanted to be a doctor, and I knew I love working with my hands. So I was
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm going to do general surgery.
Yeah.
And I didn't like looking at the colon. I didn't like looking at the
Okay.
gallbladder. I didn't like, it was truly a process of elimination. So from there, I
Yeah.
went to orthopedic. I didn't like bones. I went to neurosurgery. I didn't like the brain. And then
Okay.
I ended up at plastic surgery. Actually, I thought I was going to become a plastic surgeon, but I
Okay.
didn't have representation of women in plastic surgery at that time.
Hmm.
I didn't have a lot of great support. It was all men. They were all divorced. They never saw their kids. They
Oh
never
wow.
saw their family. And I was like, if this is all I see, this is not
Yeah.
what I want for my life. And
Yeah.
actually, one of the plastic surgeons said, have you ever considered dermatology? I'm like, dermatology? What is that?
Yeah.
I'm like, I just sit there and talk to people and clear acne. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to cut and like get
Right.
in there. And they said, just try it for like a month. If you
Hmm.
don't like it, come back. So
Yeah.
I went to USC in LA County, and I loved it. I never went back to plastic surgery.
Okay, so what did you love about it? Because people are thinking obviously all the things that come with it. The acne, the pus, the this, that, and the other. Like, what did you love about it?
I love the fact that I can see what I'm treating. And I love the
Mm,
fact that I can see an improvement. Like, I always,
hmm.
say, like, for example, if you're like a family doc, I love what they do. But for me, I like instant gratification.
Hmm.
Dermatology gives me instant gratification. If a patient comes with a big
Hmm.
cyst, I remove it when they leave that day, it's done.
Yeah.
When a patient comes in with a skin cancer, I remove it. I get to give people good news. You know what I mean? Like, I get to, like,
Yeah.
people are always happy
Hmm.
with me. Most of the
Yeah.
time, no one's upset. You make their acne better.
Yeah.
They love you. You make their psoriasis better. You remove a lump. Like, I'm
Yeah.
happy, they're happy. It's not many fields in medicine that gives you that instant gratification, and I thrive
Yeah.
off of that.
I love. So, what has been some of like I would say one of your highlight moments as a dermatologist, and one of your areas that has been maybe a good learning moment that you've experienced so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I always consider myself like, I'm very shy, but I'm also like a
Mhm.
cowgirl. Like, I'll do anything. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not scared. And
Mhm.
I've learned, there was a case that I had, it was probably about 8 years ago. It was a guy with a big cyst on his neck. And I'm like, yeah, I've done
Mhm.
bigger ones. But this
Mhm.
cyst was wrapped around like all the big veins, like the jugular veins going
Mhm.
into the brain. Like, it was just like tangled. And at that
Oh.
moment, I said, do I need to stop this case and call 911 and go to the
Mhm.
hospital? And looking back, I probably should have stopped that case. But
Mhm.
I know, me being me, I
Yeah.
said a few prayers and I just went for it. Everything turned out
Yeah.
fine. But sometimes I don't need to do everything. And I've learned that over the years. So I say no more now to cases that walk through my door.
Mhm.
Before, I never said no, I'll do anything. I'm like,
Yeah. Like, bring it on in.
you know, but now I've learned I don't have to do everything. I don't have to
Yeah.
save everyone. Before it
Mm,
was like, I think I had that, like everyone that walked through my door, I had to do something for them.
yeah.
So I say no more now than I used to. And it's just learning over the years that I don't need to do everything, and I don't need to be everything for everyone.
That's a huge lesson. Even just even saying no, like even working to that. How did that affect your life? Just people hearing you say no more than when they used to hear you say yes. Because I know
Oh
many
my
women
God.
struggle with that.
I feel bad even when I say no. Even after I
Thank
say
you.
no, I'm still calling them to make sure they got an appointment with the person I'm referring to.
Right.
I'm still calling them, like, how did your
Hmm.
surgery go? I'm still like, I'll
Yeah.
see you after your surgery. Like, I say no,
Yeah.
but I'm still like in it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's a hard thing because you don't want to disappoint people, and then you don't want to be like a people pleaser per se. Because I know I used to
Mm-hmm.
struggle with that because I always wanted to say yes, I want to help, I want to help. But I had to learn to put boundaries around that too because it started to come at a cost of me. In
Mm-hmm.
saying that to
Mm-hmm.
making wiser decisions. But I know so many people still struggle with that no, just saying no, and,
Yeah.
and holding their ground with it.
Yeah. Even like my staff, a patient will walk in, I have like a full schedule, and a
Hmm.
patient will call and like, I'm like, yeah, add them to the schedule. Like, there's nowhere to add them. I'm like, you could figure it
Yeah,
out. And they're
yeah,
like, there's nowhere. Like, we're like swamped. And I'm like, figure it out. So now they don't even
right.
ask me. I think they just make the executive decision.
They're gonna figure it out.
They're like, she's not available. She's not available.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they say no for me more because I'm so bad at
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Understood. But I love that you said that though, because like I said, people can assume that that wouldn't be a struggle because of the success that you have. But I think that's part of being successful is learning when you need to kind of say no, when you need to say
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. So when you were building your practices and then now here comes a TV show, how did you balance that with being who people know you to be before the
Mm-hmm.
TV and then maybe who they thought you may be after the TV? How did you balance all of that?
I'm still the same person. Like, I think people
Yeah.
think I live this, like, I don't know. I'm so boring, like all I do is work. I don't go anywhere. I barely post on social media. Like, I go through cycles where I post and I don't post.
Mhm.
Um, when I started my practice, my daughter was only a year and a half old, my first daughter. I
Mhm.
have a 6-year-old. And I kind of feed off of like chaos and
Yeah.
like adrenaline. Like, it's very weird. Like, when things are
Mhm.
peaceful and quiet, I get nervous. Like, I
Really?
need a little bit of chaos to function. It's very
Yeah.
strange.
Mhm.
So I started this practice and I will travel to like 5 different locations. Like,
Oh, yeah, that many
when I
locations?
yeah, when I first started.
Wow.
And then when the show came, I would do the show. I would do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So I'll do the show
Mhm.
and I would go back and see all my patients. There were
Uh-huh.
times when I would film, and then after the cameras went away, I would see patients.
Wow.
So it probably wasn't the smartest idea that
I
I
should have been thinking
had,
about it.
looking back at it. And my
Yeah.
family would travel. Like, I wanted my daughter with me. At that time, I only had one.
Okay.
So she would be with me, my sister and my husband would help. I would shoot for
Mhm.
16 hours, and we all
16
traveled
hours?
together. Oh, it's long days. We will all travel together to Chicago, come back to Michigan and work.
Mhm.
I don't know. Looking back at it, yeah, it was a little
Yeah.
chaotic, but we
That's a
did it.
lot.
We
Yeah.
did it.
So how did you maintain balance for you, like as a wife and mom and doctor, and then you're filming and all the things? Like, how did you? And I know balance is always an illusion kind of word, but how did
Yeah.
you maintain it?
There's no balance. I always say that you can only be in one place and really be good at one thing at a time. I have a very
Right.
understanding and caring husband and family.
Mhm.
So one thing we always do, we always travel together. So when I would do the show, they were
Mhm.
with me. They weren't on the set. Sometimes my husband
Yeah.
would actually come on set with me,
Mhm.
and my sisters would watch my daughter.
Mhm.
Um, as a mom, I probably sucked a little bit at that time. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. Well, but you're being honest of it. It was a balance. Well,
It was
not
a
well,
balance. Like, I
yeah,
wasn't home for like 12, 14,
yeah,
sometimes 16. But on the weekends, I
yeah.
didn't shoot on the weekends. So on the
Okay.
weekends, we were like, me and my daughter were glued together. Like, we would do everything
Mhm.
together. So when I was home, I made sure I never took work home. I was present.
Yeah.
Or if I did take work home, it was after she went to bed.
Mhm.
And then there'll be a whole day dedicated to my husband where we'll go on dates and like just do
Yeah.
stuff together. But when I would shoot, I would shoot. When I wasn't shooting, I was with my family. So that's kind of how there's no balance. When I would
Mhm.
shoot, my husband and daughter were probably like, "Where's mom?" And when I was
Yeah.
home, I'm sure the producer were probably like, "Hey, can you get back to us on this?" So there's no balance, but whenever I'm
Yeah.
in a particular scenario, I try to be present and
Hmm.
just be there. I try
Yeah.
not to think about nothing else. If I'm shooting, I'm shooting. If I'm at home, I'm at home.
I like that. So something you wrote, I want to kind of segue into, and I know we talked a little bit about this before we got on about imposter syndrome. And and I was sharing with you how many people were surprised that you have battled with it, and sometimes it still rears its head. But I would love to talk a little bit about that. How did imposter syndrome show up for you with all the different things that you're doing?
Oh, I feel like I don't deserve. I feel like I shouldn't be there. I feel like I don't deserve a seat at the table. I feel like
Mm,
I'm not worth.
yeah.
Because I get to be in sometimes spaces with like people that are the best of the best of the best in like dermatology and surgery.
Mhm.
And I've only been out 10 years, so when I'm sitting there compared, I'm always comparing
Yeah.
myself to them. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. But
Mhm.
then my husband's very great at helping me flip it around. He was like, who in the world can do what you were doing and be entertaining at the same time and be caring and people like you?
Mhm.
But it's weird. I
Yeah.
still feel like despite all of this, I don't deserve. I don't.
Mm.
So, like, I'm still very quiet. I live in Michigan. I live in a
Mhm.
very small town.
Mhm.
I walk around like no one knows who I am. I kind of
Yeah.
like, I'm not like super like out there and like, and
Yeah.
some of my friends are like, you could be bigger than who you are. Like you could be,
Mhm.
because after the show went away, I kind of just went away.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm happy, like I'm chill. I'm like,
Yeah.
so I still struggle with it. Like when people say certain things, or even when I watch the show,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll watch the show back. I'm like, how the heck did I do that? Like, what? It literally feels like it's a different person. Like
Yeah.
me and Dr. Mercy are two different people. And I've kind
Interesting.
of sometimes always, my husband jokes, like, I feel like there's like 3 or 4 personalities that I have. Like, I have a TV
Yeah.
personality, I have a surgeon personality, and
Mhm.
they're all different people, but it's all me. But once I'm
Yeah.
done with one thing, I don't associate myself with that person. It's very strange.
It's interesting, but it's something that I can understand because like I mentioned like earlier about how you make people feel. I would see it as like when people are coming in there, you can't show that okay, I'm not sure, okay, why y'all choosing me because then they'll be scared, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when they're talking to you, you are always very just calm and you listen, and that's a big thing. You listen, and I know that for someone who's had those struggles,
Mm-hmm.
with all that stuff, that matters. It wasn't like you were
Mm-hmm.
trying to instantly diagnose, instantly say this, instantly say that. You just sat there very patiently every single time, and you listened. And then when they showed you everything, now this may sound crazy, but I love that you were like, oh my god, like us on watching you, we're like, oh, like wow, that's
You know
huge.
why though? People think it's scripted. When I met
Yeah,
the people on screen, that's when I met
yeah,
them. Like we all
really.
met them at the same time. When I saw
Oh,
their spot, we all were,
yeah,
you guys are seeing it as I'm seeing
yeah,
it. They will send me pictures, but pictures doesn't do it justice. I do
yeah,
not interview them before. I do not see their spots
yeah,
before. So a lot of times it was just real. When I
yeah,
would meet them, that's when you guys met them. When I would look at when they would pull their shirt up, that's when I saw it too. So a lot
yeah,
of it was like, okay. So people
yeah,
think a lot of it was scripted. I would probably say about 9. The only thing that was scripted, I would say, that might make me go over my line, like on the green
mhm,
screen,
mhm.
over in a certain way. Like they'll take my words and say, oh, say it better like this.
Okay.
But everything else with the surgery, meeting the patients, looking at their spots, that was we just
Yeah.
went with it.
Well,
Yeah.
see, to me, that's why I think it's interesting, and I love that you're being so honest because I think we don't hear that enough. That sometimes we don't feel like we belong in that room. Sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
look around like, "What am I doing here?" But at the same token, you still showed up in who you were.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
all your knowledge and strength and everything. So how did you work through imposter syndrome when it does rear its head? When you are in spaces where you're like, "What the heck am I doing in here?" Like, how do you kind of power through?
I talk to myself, I say,
Hmm.
you know what? You're just as smart as everyone in this room.
Yeah.
You're just as competent. You've worked hard to be here. Worked hard to
Mhm.
get here. You deserve to be here.
Yeah.
And just go for it. Like, just do it. Like,
Yeah.
like all these people, like sometimes I'm in rooms and I'm like, oh, look at that person. Oh, look at that
Yeah.
person. Oh, and then the crazy thing is they want to talk to me, and I'm like, you want to talk to me?
I was going to ask you that. I was going to say, they're probably looking at you like, ooh, let me go meet her,
Yeah.
So,
So it's still very strange, but I literally give myself pep talks, and I call my husband. He's the king of pep talks. And sometimes I'm like, hey, babe, I need you to tell me who I am.
Trust me, I get that.
And he would. He was like, I'm like, yes, that I am that. You can go
No,
forth
I
and
love that.
conquer.
No, I love that you're saying that, because I'm such an extrovert in certain settings, depending on what it is. But like, even when I host events and everything, like, I'm that person that likes to kind of be behind the scenes. I don't want to initially be out in front. That's so not me. And he always has to remind me, like, Kim, you're okay. You'll be fine. You're this, you're that. Because sometimes I'm not the best, I feel like, in speaking and training and what have you. But like he says, but you are in the best in the knowledge that God has given you. And so he says, well, step into that. So when I hear that, it's like, okay, I can show up a little bit differently, and then I got to go back for another refill. Remind me again. So I get that. So tell me this, what are some of the maybe 3 lessons you have really learned about yourself in this journey of like from medical school to today, like some of the things you've learned as a woman?
As a woman, I think sometimes some of the things that we struggle with is actually some of our strengths. I think being a mom, being a wife, people are like, how do you balance? I think the ability to balance and not balance is actually a strength. Like, we can juggle so much. I mean,
Right.
I feel like as moms, you function on like minimal amount of sleep. You know how to show up. You're empathetic. You're, it's like in the midst of all the chaos, like, I feel like it's made me better, even like all the things that I struggle with my daughter and my husband. Like, I'm like, man, I'm not good at this. I could be a better wife. I could be a better mom. I feel like it makes me more empathetic and caring for other people. Other lesson, oh man, I didn't even think about this. Other lessons. We all have a gift inside of us.
Yes.
Like, people are like, I don't have any talent. We all have a gift inside of us. And when you get that gift and you unleash it, it is like a lightning bolt. Like, when you find your purpose and you find that thing, it's crazy. So I hate it when people are like, I'm not, even when people say like, I'm not beautiful, I'm not this. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no one's perfect. You have to be able to accentuate what you have, use what God gave you, and let's work with it. And everyone has something. Everyone has a gift, and we just got to tap into it. And I feel like slowly, as I'm getting older in my 40s, I feel like I'm learning to harness that and just like bloom. I feel like I'm in my blooming season. Like, I feel like I used to be so shy in my little cocoon. And now I'm just like, I don't care. Maybe it's just turning 40. I'm like, I don't care. Like, what happens if I fail? Another lesson is just do it. Like, what if you fail? What if you don't fail? And you might fail, and that's okay. But you got to try. When I was doing the show, I didn't know how, people don't realize some of those surgeries, I've done stuff like that, but they sent me some crazy stuff. Like, I'm like, what? The show made me better because it made me tough. Like, there's nothing that can walk through the door that I can't do, but should I do it is the question.
Right. You said something just a minute ago that I wanted to ask you to go a little deeper on. Can you share with us about a time that you have failed and what that taught you and how you rebounded from it?
I failed so many times. I don't know if most people know this, but I did not. So when I was trying to get into medical school, I'm not the best test taker. I can memorize. I have great memory. I did not get into med school the first time. And I actually took a gap year and I did a post-bac program. I don't think most people know this. And then I worked hard, and then I got into medical school the following year. And I was so sad. I was so disappointed. I'm like, all my friends were getting into school. And then I've had a lot of, I know, people say this all the time, and I don't know what your faith is, but delay is not denial. And sometimes like delay is a good thing. I shouldn't be where I am. I don't know. Like even with dermatology, most people will have like lots and lots of interviews. I had 5 interviews. That's like a small number because
Okay.
dermatology is a very competitive field.
Hmm.
And I got in on my first try. Like, I don't want to say it's God or luck.
Hmm.
I think that you need a combination of everything, hard work,
Yeah.
just grit, God, luck, a combination of
Hmm.
everything, because
Yeah.
I shouldn't be where I am. Even health wise, like with my first shot, I should have died. The second one, I should have died. Like it
Hmm.
just, I don't know. That's why I just feel like I'm not meant to be here, but I'm here. So like, there's not
Yeah.
much that scares me anymore. So I failed
Hmm.
I failed in business. I've made horrible decisions. I've lost so much money. I've made money. I'll be like, I fail all the time. I've hired the wrong
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
like trusted the wrong people.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I've been sued before, never, they
Hmm.
never want. So like, just trusting the wrong people in
Yeah.
business. Oh, I might, the day's not even over yet. Like I feel at the gym. I feel at diet. I feel,
She's like,
I
look,
feel all
you
the
want one
time.
example?
I'm
No,
like,
but
what
but
do you
but
even
that's
want
the
to know
truth,
about?
right? No, but it's the truth, though, and this is honestly the reason why we do what we're doing, because I feel like people don't think people fail, or they don't struggle, or they don't have ups and downs, and it's like we all have them. It's just what you
Yep.
choose to be honest about.
Yeah. 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 No,
Yeah.
every day. Like, yeah, I failed my daughter so many. Sometimes I'm the last that pick up. She's like, where were you? One day I even lied. I go, there's traffic. She goes, Mom, there's never traffic. Like yeah, no, I do not have it together at all. Like I'm a
No, no, but
mess.
I love it.
I'm a mess that shows up and tries to keep on going.
Right. But that's reality, though, right? That's just kind of
Yeah.
how reality is. So let me ask you this. Okay, because I heard you say a couple of different things about how you speak to yourself and affirmations and stuff like that. So how do you create an environment for yourself to keep challenging yourself and keep growing yourself? What does that environment look like for you?
My circle is small.
Hmm.
Um, Lots of prayer. My husband, my family. I have friends from like 10, 15, 20 years ago. Anyone that comes into my life that I have that personality that people tend to dump on me, like dump all their problems. Maybe because people say I'm a
Hmm.
great listener, or like
Yeah.
so. Friends, I'm starting to learn that I can't, like I said, I can't take on everyone's problems. I'm so like, even a stranger would start talking about, I don't even know, their divorce or something, I'll just sit there and
Yeah.
listen. So I keep my circle small. I don't let a lot of negative people. If you dump on me and I don't call you back. I just,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, I keep my
Did you
circle
have to grow
small.
into that in terms of your circle? Because even like as you mentioned, in growing a business and everything, people always feel like you have to be connected to everybody. That's the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing, your network. So how did you learn to keep your circle small and not feel like you had to be so well connected to everyone just to grow and build?
I have a lot of friends that are like very well known and in the business and even around. And when I get off the phone and I feel worse than before I got on the phone with you,
Mm,
that's how I know. It's a feeling. It's a
yeah.
feeling. And I can do it a few times, but when there's
Mhm.
a pattern, like
Yeah.
friends should uplift. We all have problems.
Yeah.
But if I get off the phone with you and I just keep feeling worse every time I pick up the phone,
Yeah.
yeah, we're done. I don't care how long we've known each other. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm just thinking, I was like, that's something I'm sure so many people would love to be able to work to grow into, to be able to say, yeah, this is not
It's not
healthy
that
because of that.
serious. Like, yeah, we're friends, but we don't have to be friends. Like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's a one-sided relationship. No, I did
Yeah.
it for so long, and I realized I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
No.
So whenever you do have to do like disconnection or let go of someone, situation, opportunity, talk to me a little bit about that. Because I'm sure there's been times where people have presented something to you and it sounds good, looks good, but you realize not that great for you. How do you go through the process of really saying no to things that could be good for you or appears that an opportunity?
I say, what's weird, and I think that sometimes my imposter syndrome kind of gets in the way of that. I say no a lot to a lot of opportunities that I probably shouldn't say no to.
Really?
Yeah. Like, for example, I'll say no to speaking engagements because I'm shy and I don't want to speak, but I'll speak in front of
Oh,
cameras, in front of random people. I
Yeah.
said no to interview shows.
Yeah.
I
Really?
I've turned down. I'm more likely to turn down, not anymore, which is also what I'm
Yeah.
doing. I'm getting
Okay.
I'll turn down big stuff. Like I just
Yeah. But you're so engaging and you're so real and honest. Like, do you know how refreshing that is? Trust me, I talk to a lot of people,
I
and it's
just
funny, and this is the whole reason why we're doing it. To be honest with you, because I've seen people off screen and they're very real and honest until the camera
yeah.
comes on or until they're on the stage, and then you're like, wait a minute, that's not the same person that I just, and but it's real refreshing. So I'm surprised that you don't do more speaking, or you're getting ready to start doing it.
You know how
Right?
you said like you feel like you're not a great speaker?
Yeah.
That's one of my things. I feel like I'm not a great speaker. I feel like I'm not eloquent. I have an accent. My English is not great, because that's what people used to say when I first came from Nigeria.
Okay.
So I turned down speaking is even in my own like surgical field where I'm like, people are like, you've done the show. Like, we've seen what you do. Like, your stuff. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
I don't. No, I don't.
Oh no.
So I turned down like interviews in magazines. I don't do it as much lately,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've turned down Dr. Oz. I've turned down like
Really?
it's like, yeah.
That's interesting to me because listening to you, and this is our first time actually like talking, but I
Yeah.
love everything you, even reading your article. I remember even Shannon, which is like, and she is so honest. She's so real. And the thing is that we shouldn't be surprised about how honest someone is, but it was refreshing. And not that, let me put a disclaimer, not that we think anyone
Yeah.
else interview is not, but it was just that you're very honest about just like the imposter syndrome and even just saying no to opportunities that really could have been a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
because it links back to this, the imposter side of it. But I think that's the thing that is so encouraging to hear. But also, I hope you do get out there more because I
I'm
feel like people
getting
need your
I'm
voice.
getting there. Because all my
Yeah.
friends are like, you should be bigger than you were. And I'm like, I'm cool. But
Yeah.
then I have to
Yeah.
ask myself, is this a fear thing?
Hmm.
Or do I really not want to do it? Because
Well,
that
you also,
sometimes I don't know the answer. Like, do I just not want to
yeah.
do it because I don't want to, or am I not wanting to do it because I'm scared? And that's one thing. One of my philosophies is you have to do what you're scared of, and I've always lived by
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, sometimes I don't do it, and yeah,
Is it also linked possibly to, you mentioned earlier that you're happy? Like these things won't add to your happiness because you said
yeah.
your life is good. So could it be some of that too, that you're good where you are?
It could be because the show was great,
Hmm.
but I was always one of those people like if no one knew who I was and I did great work, I was
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
So like for some people doing all these things like being on TV, being on this, being on social is like how they
Hmm.
find their validation.
Hmm.
And for me, like it's weird. The show added, but the show didn't really like
Yeah.
change. That's why like did it change you? It didn't really like what you saw on the show was me. It didn't really change anything. I still see it's the same. Like my patients that know me, they were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that was,
This is you.
that was you." So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm happy. I feel like all that stuff doesn't really add. Sometimes it complicates. So,
Mm.
but also I should be more open because I don't know who I could help, who I can inspire.
Right.
But so I'm working on that. And
Okay.
one of that is saying yes to you.
Yeah.
Because I would
Well,
have been
I'm
like,
glad you
nope.
did. Well, I'm glad I didn't get to know.
I'm like, nope.
I just think you have so many good, valuable lessons, and just just everything you've shared. I just love it. So let me ask you a couple more questions,
Yeah.
and then we'll be good. What is up next for you personally? Like, what are you growing in behind your brand personally that is going to set you up for the next place that you believe you're going to?
So one thing the show did, it made me
Hmm.
realize that I love storytelling.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I actually would like to be behind the cameras instead of actually being
Really?
up front.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get a few projects started where I'm more of the producer and the storyteller,
Yeah.
and I get to make. I want to make other people stars. Like I don't want to be the star.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
don't even know how they found me. Like they took the most non wannabe star
Yeah.
person and gave them a show when they're so people like for the show they interviewed 5 or 6 dermatologists before they found me, and the
Really?
initial show was supposed to be like all different dermatologists doing different
Okay.
cases, not just
Okay.
me. And then I was like number 6 or 7, and then all of a sudden they changed the whole premise of the show. So like I wasn't even like their front runner. I wasn't even like,
Yeah.
because I'm not the easiest person to like find either. Where there's so many derms that are doing like that are out there posting every
Right.
day, teaching, talking. So I realized I like the storytelling part. And
Mm-hmm.
I would love to make other dermatologist stars. Like I
Yeah.
would love to make other people stars. And I like
Yeah.
behind the camera, actually. I love behind the camera.
Okay, so potentially down the road could be something in that space, telling
Yeah, I'm
stories.
working on it's hard, man. It's hard. That's a
Yeah.
space where you hear no a lot. I'm used to saying no. These people
Really?
just because TV is hard right now. Cable is not doing
Okay.
so well. A lot of people going to
Yeah.
streaming. It's
Streaming.
people think
Yep.
it's very like even streaming is not the easiest. There's so many different area people are
Mm-hmm.
competing.
Yeah.
So then you need advertisers. I'm learning a whole lot about how to make a whole show happen. So I'm hoping, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
some days I get discouraged, but I would love to be able to tell other people's stories.
Yeah. Are there other platforms that you can explore it on? I know streaming's huge, but like putting it out there. I know people like to use YouTube and all that, but is there other formats that you can possibly showcase
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people like even Dr. Mercy, when you're ready, um, you want to, can I do it myself? I could do it
Yeah.
myself. So, and then there's other networks that are starting up too that I'm like, maybe I could associate myself. So you'll hear
Yeah.
more about behind the scenes, maybe producer, you see credits.
That'd be cool. But I like that storytelling. I think is to me one of the best ways we continue to keep growing and continue to
Mm-hmm.
challenge ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So professionally, where does Lilly go at this point? Where is your practices? Are you going to try to continue to expand, or what are you thinking in that space?
So right now, I'm mainly in Michigan. I'm not in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago anymore. It just got a little difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to, one thing I've learned, you have to slow down to move forward. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird. You have to slow down
makes
to
sense.
be able to go. So I've kind of slowed down a little bit. When I first started my practice, I wanted to feel like a family run practice. I wanted it to feel the way medicine used to feel in the 60s, 70s, where you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing the grandpa, the pa, the
Yeah.
mom, and I get a lot of that. And I feel like sometimes as you get too big, you get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, it's me, 2 nurse practitioners, and I just want us to be solid and give excellent
Yeah.
care and give great service. I always say I want us to be like a 5-star hotel. And
Mm-hmm.
that's hard to do if you get too big. And I've learned that. So I'm not, I think I'm okay where I am. And right now we're just polishing like the service, the,
Yeah.
just the people part, like giving great care, like
Mhm.
be excellent, but also excellent in the service department too.
Yeah. I love that. So tell me what's next in terms of no, actually I'm not going to answer that. I'm gonna say that for another time. Um, what would you share with a woman looking at this right now and they're in a place where they're feeling either discouraged about their growth, they're like feeling stuck, and they're just kind of feeling like everything is just not coming together? What would you share with her?
I would let that woman know that that's okay. It's okay to have all of
Mm,
those feelings. And
yeah.
that feeling might never go away, even when whatever your definition of success changes. And
Yes.
I feel like life is a cycle. It's like the up, oh, everything's great. Then I'm stuck. Oh crap, this sucks. And then it's like this is great. It's okay to feel like that. But I feel like as a woman, we're so resilient. We're so strong. We're so tough. We have so many
Mhm.
gifts and so many
Yeah.
strengths that
Yeah.
we figure it out. We just figure it
Mhm.
out. So
Mhm. We
sometimes it's
do.
okay to take a pause.
Yeah.
Do my best.
Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Okay, I know what
Yeah.
happened.
Sometimes I just get away for like 3-4 days on my own and I do my
Mhm.
best thinking, my best reading. And it's okay to get away. It's okay to be good to yourself and be
Yeah.
selfish because that's how you can give to other people. And I think as women, we're very hard on ourselves
Mhm. Mhm.
for no reason.
Yeah.
We put all
Exactly.
of that on us. Like we don't
Yeah.
need to.
Mhm. I
And
love
it's
that you said
okay.
that. I do that. One that is okay, and even about getting away. I remember when I first started doing this a long time ago, getting away for like every quarter, I'll take 4 or 5 days to myself.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful for me. I show up better as a mom, a wife, and
Mhm.
everything when I did. But I used to have women that would actually say, I couldn't leave my family like that. I couldn't do. I was like, my husband knows how to cook. He knows how to take care of the kids. He's gonna be okay. They're gonna be okay. But I come back better because, when you're building, you're growing. Like you said, you can do so many things for so many people. And I think taking that time out for just for yourself, whatever that looks like. And sometimes
Mhm.
I'm working when I'm away, but
Mhm.
it's quiet. I have my
Mhm.
favorite show on or something, or
Mhm.
just it's just quiet, and I can have that. So I'm glad you said that because I don't feel like we do that enough because we feel guilty for taking
Mhm.
time for ourselves, and there's no
Mhm.
guilt that needs to be attached to that.
No, no. I do
Yeah.
it once a year. I'll go away for like 3 to 5 days.
Hmm.
I don't even go or do anything. Like I'll go to like Mexico or something. I'll check in. Like, I'll
Hmm.
just sleep, order room
Yeah.
service, read a book, go for a walk,
Hmm.
and that's it. And I come up with my best ideas. Have a notepad with me, and then I come home. I'm just better. I only do it once. I'm just better. My husband survived. My kids might not get the 5-star service they would get if I was there, but
Yeah.
they're alive,
Yeah. Right.
and they're okay, and we're
I
all
love it.
good. They're all good.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that, and appreciate everything that you shared today, and
Oh,
just for your
thank you for
time.
having me. I'm so
Yeah.
excited for you.
No, thank you, and I'm glad you said yes to us. So we weren't on your
I'm
no
saying
list.
yes more. I'm saying yes more now because it's a little ridiculous how much no I say. Even I know it's a bit much.
She's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
No, but I appreciate it. And we're going to share with everyone like how to reach you. And I know you're not doing online no more, but you are on social media. I saw
Yeah, I
so.
do. I do. I just go through waves. Like I feel like
Yeah,
social media is great, but it's also it's like a necessary evil. So sometimes I get on
yeah,
social and I don't feel good. Remember I
yeah,
talked about like when I get off the phone and I don't. So
yes,
social does that to me sometimes. And I don't know if you go
yeah,
scrolling and seeing. So if I
yes,
start feeling like that, I get off. And
yeah,
then when I feel like I'm good again, I'll come back on, post here and there. And if I
yeah.
start feeling not so good, I get off.
You and I are very similar in that because people always ask me why I don't post every single day, and I was like, I don't have something to say every day.
Nope.
I'm just not someone that needs to be on it like that much, and I do
Hmm.
marketing, so that part that comes backwards. But I just learned that I've always God has always blessed me in terms of how I show up in the ways
Hmm.
that feel good to me. So posting 3 or 4 times a day is just not good to me. That's just
Hmm.
more busy work, and I feel like I'm a reduced value if I do it the way people say I'm supposed to do it. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
For some people, that's their gift and that's what they love. And for me,
Yeah.
like, I feel like I don't have a whole lot of value to add. So
Hmm.
many other people are doing it better than me on social. So let them let them have it.
No, I'm with you. I just, yeah. Social media is an interesting, like you said, it's a necessary thing, but it's an interesting platform. So I just try to use it in the best ways that I
Hmm.
can.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
well, thank you.
Yeah,
Today, I love
it's a
speaking with you. I'm
pleasure.
grateful that you're a part of what we've done, and just know honestly that I generally love the work that you do and want to support you in any way that I can. And I
Oh,
really do
thank
mean that.
you.
Whatever we can do to support you, please let me
Thank you. I love what you're
know.
doing, highlighting women. I feel like we're such badasses. I feel
Yes.
like, people think that women are like against each other but no, I love when women come together.
Mhm.
Like we're like a force. I'm like,
Yes.
if I don't know. I just have been a woman. I'm like, we're like this force that
Mhm.
we come together, man. We can do anything.
Happens. Yes. We just got to keep coming together.
Yeah, we have
So.
to keep coming together. You got it.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. We'll chat soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.